Okay, so Purim is in Wednesday night, and we could talk from different angles about Purim. There is so much to say about it. I will start from certain points that usually people do not speak about or learn about, and I think this is a good opportunity to speak about this thing. In Purim we have many halachos. Of course, to read the Megillah twice in the nighttime, in the morning, Seudas Purim, and Mishloach Manot, Ish L'Reu, Shalach Manos, and Matanot L'Evyonim. All of those are mitzvahs that mention in the Megillah. And there are halachas. But there is a minhag in Purim that has no source whatsoever, apparently. But everyone doing it, all over the world, all Jews, all over. And I want to show the very, very deep source of this minhag. And the minhag is to dress up. Dressing up in Purim. What's the idea behind the dressing up? Just to be funny or to put everyone in a good mood? There is something very, very deep in this. And I called this shiur, What's hidden behind the mask? What's hidden behind the mask? Let's see how much we could cover, because even this particular topic, including it a lot. Another very interesting thing that connected to this is a very strange halacha relate to Seudat Purim, relate to Purim Seudah, and this is the mitzvah not just to eat but to drink, and drink wine a lot. The halacha is Mechayev inish lebesumi bepuraya. This is the source in Aramaic in the Gemara. Mechayev inish lebesumi bepuraya adelo yoda ben orur haman lebaruch Mordechai. Let me explain this. You have to drink in Purim, not like light drinks, heavy drinks, wine. And you have to get drunk, but not just a little drunk. You know, Seudas Purim we do at the evening, almost close to the Shkia, after the entire day. Twice, we read the Megillah the night before and in the morning. And the entire idea of the Megillah is to show us the miracle that Hashem did with us when the wicked Haman wants to kill us, and Hashem sent the Hatzalah, the redemption, through Mordechai and Esther. So if someone will ask you, who is the bad guy and who's the good guy in the Megillah, in the morning, for sure everyone will say, Mordechai is the great and Haman is the wicked. Now comes the Seudas Purim, Purim afternoon. You have to eat, you have to drink, and you have to drink, and you have to be drunk in such a way that if someone asks you, who's the Arur and who's the Baruch, who's the blessed and who's the cursed one? If you will say that Mordechai is the blessed one, you're still sober. You're still not drunk enough. Until you will say that Arur Mordechai is the wicked one, the cursed one, and Haman is the good guy, is the blessed one. So you have to be really, really drunk. Now the question is, what's the idea? Why? Why this is the mitzvah? You know, let me even make it even more harder to understand this. For sure, the most amazing present that Hashem gave us is the ability to think. The das, that you could be differentiating between things. This is the crown of the being human being. And usually the entire year, you have to be really doing everything, calculate everything, think about things. This is the entire Torah, this is the entire mitzvah, to make you aware and do things right. In Purim, there is a mitzvah to give up this das. Just send it away to a vacation for a few hours and be without it completely in a way that you will say the wrong thing about the right things. or Haman, or Mordechai Baruch Haman. What's the idea behind this? As I said in the beginning, there is something very, very deep about it. Let's see how much we could cover from it. Megillas Esther, called Megillas Esther, for the hero. Who's the hero of the Megillah? Esther. There are a few heroes. Mordechai also, right? But we call it the Megillah, Megillas Esther. In the Megillah, one time, in the entire Megillah, the Megillah mentioned another name of Esther, Hadassah. One time in the Megillah. And it says, איש יהודי היה בשושן הבירה, ושמו מרדכי בן יאיר בן שמעי בן קיש איש ימיני, ויהי אומן את הדסה, he Esther. He was foster father of Hadassah, he Esther. Now the Gemara asked about this. What was her real name? She doesn't have two names. It was only one. So which one is the real name? Hadassah or Esther? And the Gemara brings a Tanoim that has different opinions. I'll give you the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Hadassah Shma. Her real name was Hadassah. Velama nikrat Shma Esther, and why we calling her Esther? And the entire Megillah, Esther, Esther, Esther. Hadassah mentioned only once. The entire Megillah is Esther. Hadassah mentioned only once. So if her real name was Hadassah, how come the Megillah called her Esther? So the answer is, be aware of this, the answer is, Al Shem Sha'ayta Masteret Dvarea. Because she was hidden her identity. As Mordechai told her, when the king was looking for a new wife, they took all of them, they took a lot of girls, they took her, right? So when she was out of the door, Mordechai told her, don't say that you're Jewish. And it's amazing if you think about it. Practically, this is unbelievable. This is one of the miracles of Purim. The Megillah covering 9 years. I know people could think that the entire Megillah happened in 20 minutes, as you hear it in Shul, depending on what Shul you're going. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But you have to know the Megillah covering 9 years. It's mentioned over there, the years in the Megillah. The first few verses, few psukim in the Megillah says, Bishnat shalosh lemalcho. In the third year when Achashverosh became king. In the third year he made the party, right? The party that he killed Vashti. Then it says that he was looking for a new queen, and only Bishnat sheva lemalcho, when it was the 7th year, he found Esther. So 4 years he was in Shidduchim, after he killed his first wife. Then it says that Haman made the goyrel, the lottery, he made it in the 12th years of Achashverosh, right? So make the calculation. Esther came to the palace. It was a whole process before, 6 months that they were preparing those candidates, right? So imagine, we're looking now for a wife, a queen for a king that ruling 127 states, right? For sure, when they got to the place, when they prepare them, they have to write down the details about their family, right? So probably it will say over there your name, your parents' name, your country, right? What Esther did at the time. She could not write down Jewish because Mordechai told her no, right? So she left it blank and it's passed. Amazingly, it's passed. No one asked her questions, right? Then she came to the king and the king decided that she is the one. She's going to be the queen, right? What will be the next thing? Let's meet the parents, right? You're doing engagement party. What's Esther says? Oh, could we skip it? So the king say, you know what? I didn't know it's a boo-boo, but if it's hard, okay, let's skip it.
But she was an orphan,
Fine.
so they had to skip it. I mean,
Okay, right. She was an orphan. She could say, I'm an orphan. Okay, but what family? Which nation? And she says, skip it. And he skipped it because he was so in love with her, right? Then was the wedding. Who's the family side? No family, no one. She came from nowhere. So everyone were probably rumoring what's going on. What's the background of the queen? No one asked any question. She got married at the 7th year. Until the 12 years, for 5 years, the king is married to someone and he doesn't know anything about her family. It's unbelievable. He was married to her for 5 years. Only in Purim, she reveals that she's Jewish. Okay, so here's the idea behind what the Gemara says. Her real name was Hadassah. Why she was called Esther? Because she was hiding, and that was the strategy of Mordechai. And just imagine if it was known in the beginning that she's Jewish, the entire story of Purim will not happen. Because the entire idea was a surprise that she will reveal that she's Jewish at the right time. Right? Wow. Think about all of this when you read the Megillah. So the strategy was to hide. Okay. Now, I want to mention another thing that you probably heard about. There is the Ari HaKodesh, the great Mekubal, the Ari. The Ari said something that, again, doesn't make any sense, but it's written in the Kabbalah, and there is reason for this. He says the following: if you take the calendar, you could find 2 dates in the calendar, the Jewish calendar, that in Hebrew, it's written in the same letters, with one difference. And this is Purim and Yom HaKippurim. Yom Kippur, Yom HaKippurim, and Purim. So the last 5 letters are the same. The only thing that in Kippurim, there is a kaf in the beginning. What is kaf in Hebrew? Like. Kippurim. Says the Ari, there is a connection, a very deep connection between Purim and Kippurim. And what the amazing thing that he says, that Purim is higher than Yom HaKippurim. In what way? We'll see. It's higher because when you say about something that this is like this, Purim, meaning that the original is Purim, and Yom Kippurim is just like Purim. In what way? In what way? It seems that those are 2 different, this is the holy, serious day, Yom Kippurim, and this is the light, funny, fun day, right? And the Ari said there is a connection, and not just a connection, but Purim is higher than Yom Kippurim. In what way? And here we come into really the deep stuff. The few common denominators, let's start from the first one. The first one is the goyrol. Goyrol. Lottery. We have it in Purim, we have it in Yom Kippur. If you remember the Avodas Hayom in Yom Kippurim, said the Avodah that they have 2 goats that has to be identical, right? And they will separate it. One will go to the Holy of Holies, to the Kodesh HaKodashim, and the other one goes to Azazel. And the way to decide between them is by lottery. Goyrol. Purim, the meaning of the word Purim is a goyrol. Hipil pur hu hagoral. The pur is the goyrol. Right? So this is the first common denominator. We'll get back to this again later. But let's add another thing. What was Yom Kippurim? Yom Kippurim is connected to Chet HaEgel. It's a Kippurim al Chet HaEgel, on Chet HaEgel. Let me give you the order of the things. At the year that the Jews went out of Egypt, it was, according to the Jewish calendar, 2448. That was the year, the Briat Olam, for the creation. Okay. 15 days of Nisan, we went out of Egypt. 50 days after that, Vav and Sivan, the 6th day of Sivan, which is the third month after, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, was Ma'amad Har Sinai. The revelation at Sinai was there. Vav B'Sivan. Zayin B'Sivan, day after, the 7th day of Sivan, Moshe went to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Right? Now, take 30 from Zayin B'Sivan, you get to, what's the next month? Tammuz. Zayin B'Sivan, Zayin B'Tammuz. But because it was 40 days, add another 10 days, you'll get to Yud Zayin B'Tammuz. Shivasar B'Tammuz. Shivasar B'Tammuz is a fast day. Why? What was the first thing that happened? 5 things during the history happened at Shivasar B'Tammuz. The first one was Moshe broke the Luchos. Why Moshe broke the Luchos? Because of the Egel. They were worshipping the golden calf, right? When they were worshipping the golden calf, when they were worshipping the Egel, Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu at the mountain before he went down, "Heref mimeni ve'ashmidem." I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to kill them all. And Moshe daven, Moshe prays, and Hashem says, "Vayinachem Hashem al hara asher diber lasot le'amo." He didn't forgive them, but he said, "Okay, not now, not at once. Uvyom pokdi upakati aleim chatatam." It will be, they will pay for it, but slowly, not at once. Okay? So Chet HaEgel caused us to be obligated nationally a death penalty. Why? Because 40 days before, Hashem gave us Aseret HaDibros, the 10 Commandments. The second one was, לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי, לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה, אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר על הארץ מתחת. And we did it 40 days after. And only in Aseret HaDibrot, the only place in Aseret HaDibrot that it says that Hashem Elokecha El Kana, he's a jealous God. It says about Avodah Zarah, about worshiping other gods, right? So it was a death penalty. Avodah Zarah, by the way, you have to know, it's the most severe Avera that a Jew could do. The parameter is very simple. We have 613 mitzvot in the Torah. About all of them, if your life is in dangerous, you have to save your life. But 3. There are only 3 Averas that you should give your life for. And this Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, and Shfichus Damim, and the first one is Avodah Zarah. So Avodah Zarah is the most severe sin that a person could do, of course, the nation could do. And we did it, or it's considered, Chet HaEgel is a whole story. I have a whole lecture about Chet HaEgel, what really happened there. But it was in the department of Avodah Zarah, right? Therefore Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, the Midas Adin, the attribute of justice, demand death penalty for the entire nation. And Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, and Hashem says, okay, Vayinachem Hashem al hara asher diber lasot le'amo, but he didn't really forgive him. When Moshe Rabbeinu went down, that was when he was up. When he went down, he saw the Egel, he broke the Luchos. He broke the Luchos, and we lost the Luchos. We have to know that the tablets, the Luchos, was actually the completion of Ma'amad Har Sinai. So Ma'amad Har Sinai, actually, we didn't completely get the Torah. The Torah that we were supposed to get was broken. Yud Tet B'Tammuz, that was in Yud Zayin B'Tammuz. Yud Chet B'Tammuz, the 18th days of Tammuz, Moshe Rabbeinu made a trial over there and judged the people who were worshipping the Egel. That was Yud Chet B'Tammuz. Yud Tet B'Tammuz, he went up to the mountain, the 19th day of Tammuz, to daven to Hashem for 40 days. As it's mentioned in Sefer Dvarim, et 40 hayom ו40 halayla asher התנפלתי, he was davening to Hashem for 40 days. From Yud Tet B'Tammuz, we have another 10 days to the end of Tammuz, another 30 days of Av, right? So it ended at the end of Av. In Rosh Chodesh Elul, Moshe Rabbeinu was asked by Hashem to make a new tablets go up to the mountain and Hashem will rewrite the Ten Commandments on the new tablets that Moshe will bring. It started in Rosh Chodesh Elul. We have 30 days of Elul, but it was 40 days, right? So it ended at Yud B'Tishri, which is Yom Kippurim. And when Moshe Rabbeinu came back with the second Luchos, it was a complete kapara of Chet HaEgel. So, Yom Kippurim is the day of kapara on the death penalty that we were deserved because of Chet HaEgel. Okay, remember this. Now let's go to Purim. Let's go to Purim. I want to show you the same thing. What happened in Purim? There is an amazing Gemara in Maseches Megillah, in Daf Yud Aleph. The Gemara in Maseches Megillah says that the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked him a big question. Remember, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was a great Tana, not just a Tana. He was a Tana, but he was also the one that Hashem revealed through him the secret of the Kabbalah. He wrote the Zohar. His students were Tanoim, and they were in very high level, spiritually, intellectually, the Talmidim of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So they came over to him, and they asked him the following question. We read Megillah Esther, and we saw that it was a decree. We celebrate Purim, but we have to know what was at stake at the time. It was a decree, להשמיד, להרוג ולאבד את כל היהודים. מנער ועד זקן, טף ונשים, ביום אחד. You have to know that such a decree was never in the history until today. Even Hitler, יימח שמו וזכרו, even the Nazis, they wanted to do the same, to kill all the Jews in the world. But it took them 6 years, and they killed 1/3 of the Jewish nation. The Gzera of Haman was one day, and he has the ability to do it. In one day, in all 127 states, all the Jews will be killed in the same day. That was the decree. It was sealed, and it was on the way. Then Hashem made this miracle of V'na'afochu, and we were saved. And it was in Purim, right? So we have to see the similarity, right, between Chet HaEgel was a decree of death penalty to the Jewish nation. Moshe Rabbeinu davened at the time, prayed at the time, and Yom Kippurim was the Mechila, where we saved in Yom Kippurim. In Purim, Haman wants to kill us, and in Purim, we had the Mechila. But here we come to the question of the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. They asked him, מפני מה נתחייבו ישראל שבאותו הדור כליה? Why the Jews of this generation of Mordechai and Esther was obligated to be killed? All the Jews. What is the meaning why? They assume here a very, very important assumption. It doesn't work that, some crazy anti-Semites woke up in the morning and decide to kill the Jews. It doesn't work this way. The Jews, we are the sons of Hashem, Bnei Bechorei Israel. Hashem will not let anyone to just kill us. So what was the question? It was a decree, though. The fact was that it was a decree. What was the reason? What was the reason spiritually that make the Jews deserve death penalty? That was the question of the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He was very happy about this question, but he wanted to challenge them. He asked them, okay, if you're so smart and wise to know or to assume that it was a reason, could you try to guess what was the reason? You asked me, but I'm giving back to you. What do you think? He asked them. So they thought, and they said, in the beginning of the Megillah, it's mentioned that the Melech King Achashverosh made a big mishte, a big party. And he invited the Jews to come. And they asked the Sanhedrin. And the Sanhedrin said, don't go. And they went anyways. So probably this is the reason. Because that's what the Megillah started with. Makes sense, right? So that was the answer that they gave him, that because they, מפני שנהנו מסעודתו של אותו רשע, because they enjoy this party that the Achashverosh made. So he asked them, you know, the direction is good, but it's not the complete answer. Why? Because if so, why was the decree on all the Jews that were all over 127 states? The Jews that were invited are only the one who lives in Shushan. לכל העם הנמצאים בשושן הבירה. So the decree should be only on the Jews in Shushan, not all over. So he said, your answer is not full, it's not complete. So they told him, okay, you know what, you asked us to try, we tried. If it's not enough, now it's your turn. Tell us, what's the real reason? So he told them an amazing thing. He told them, מפני שהשתחוו לצלם בדורו של נבוכדנצר. Because they bowed down to the statue that Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylonian, made about 30 years ago, before the events. It was a whole story, if you know the story, if you heard the story. If not, read Sefer Daniel. It's mentioned over there that Nebuchadnezzar made a statue, a very big statue of his image, and he asked everyone to bow down to it, and everyone bowed down to it. Only 3 people refused to do it, and he said, anyone that will not do it, I'm going to throw into the Kivshana Esh, to the fire pit. Okay? Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah refused to do it, and he was about to throw them there, because, okay, I don't have time to go to all the details, but you have to know, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and Daniel, the 4 kids, they were kids at the time when Yerushalayim was destroyed. Nebuchadnezzar asked his soldiers, go to the yeshivas in Yerushalayim, bring me smart Jewish kids from the dynasty of the king of Yehuda. Why? I know they're smart. I want them to be my advisors. So bring them alive here. They brought to him few kids. 4 of them was very famous, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they grew up over there when Yerushalayim was destroyed, and the Sefer Daniel says that Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, and it really bothered him, like Paro, with a slight difference, I'll tell you soon. So he has a dream. He asked all his advisors, the Babylonian advisor, to solve the dream. And when they came, he told them, I want you to tell me what's the dream, what's the message. But I have a problem. I forgot the dream. So what I ask you to do, you have to tell me what I dreamt and what is the solution of it. They told him, listen, give us a dream, we'll give you a solution. We weren't there with you to dream the dream. How do we know the dream? He told them, I don't care. If you're not going to say it, I'm going to kill you. And he started killing them. Daniel heard this, and he said, wait, let's tell the king to stop the killing. Maybe I could help him. They called him to the king. The king told him, do you really think you could do what they could not do? He told them, listen, no one in the world could do what you ask. I might tell you why, not because I'm smart, because I'm Jewish, and because I have God, that if I'll ask him, he might tell me. And he told him, okay, go ahead. He went, he prayed to Hashem. Hashem told him the dream and the solution of it, and he came back to the king. And he told him, I know it. I know your dream. I know the solution. And he told him the dream. The minute he told him, he remembered that this is the dream. And then he told him the solution, and he was so astonished. He immediately put him as the senior advisor, and his 3 friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, also in a very big positions in the administration. Of course, everyone got envy by them, all the other people that was waiting online and their opportunity comes when he made this statue. Daniel was lucky. The Gemara says that he was sent by the king to a different country to do something for the administration. But Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and all the administration staff from all over all the states that Nebuchadnezzar was ruling over, they must be there at the time when the statue will be finished. And the king told them, listen, when we will, when the orchestra will start to play, everyone should bow down. I will see this as you, I forgot how to say, Shvuat Emunim, plea allegiance?
Yeah.
Play,
Allegiance.
okay, this is it. Play allegiance to me. So anyone who will not do this, I will find them like someone who just rebelled against the king. So everyone did it, but Chaim Mishael Vazai could not do it because it's a statue. And the Gemara said that was not a real statue. It's not it was not an Avodah Zorah. It's not God. But it seems, that Jews bow down to a statue. They decided not to do it. Okay? So after the ceremony was over, those people who were jealous of Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah came to the king and say, you said they didn't. He called them and he told them, listen, I have no choice. I have to kill you because I could not make fun of myself. I said this will be... But you know what? You're so precious to me. I really value your advice. I don't want to kill you. So you know what? I'll make it like it was something not proper. And we will redo the entire ceremony. And that will give you another chance. And if you now will bow down, that will be okay. They told them, don't bother. Don't do it. Even if you do it again, we're not going to bow down to the statue. Why? Not because we are not faithful to you. You know that we serve you and we're really faithful to you. But you could not ask us to express it by bowing down because we are Jewish. We're bowing down only to God. He has no choice. And they refused for the second chance. So he has to throw them to the Kivshan Ash, to the pit of fire. And he did. And nothing happened to them. And it was such a miracle that he just published all over that no one should dare talk about the gods of Hananiah, Mishael, Vazar because he is the God of gods. And was a great Kiddush Hashem that they made. But all the other people over there, including Jews, bow down to this statue. So said Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, let's go back to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to his students, right? He told them, because of that, because bowing down to a statue is Avodah Zorah. It's even if it's not, it's considered Avodah Zorah because the Gentiles over there see Jews bowing down to a statue. They will think, they will interpret it the way they do it, right? So it's a Chilul Hashem. Therefore, the entire nation observed to be in a death penalty. That was the answer of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right? So his students came back to him and said, if so, why Hashem made the miracle and saved them in Purim? They deserve it, right? So he said the amazing thing. He said, because they didn't do it only lefanim, they didn't really meant to bow down to Avodah Zarah. So I also, Mida Keneged Mida did it. I brought them to the fear of being killed, and then I switched it at the last moment, right? So it's a Mida Keneged Mida. Why this Gemara is amazing? Few things. First of all, we have to know that it's not just them. Anytime that the Jews, during the history, facing any decree that include all the Jews, for example, the Holocaust, we have to know to ask the question that the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked him, why? Why it was such a decree? This is number one. Number two, we see that Hashem managing and running the world Mida Keneged Mida Mamish. It's exactly Mida Keneged Mida. The way you did it, the way you deserve. If you did it just from outside, not inside, you're going to have something that's going to scare you to death. But you do not deserve death. So at the end, Hashem will switch it. That's what happened in the Megillah. Let's go back to Purim and Kippurim. Okay? Closing circles. Again, we find out that in both cases, in Purim and Yom Kippurim, the reason was denying God. חטא העגל in Yom Kippurim, and השתחוו לצלם בתקופת נבוכדנצר. So it's the same thing. In both cases, in Purim and in Yom Kippurim, was the day of the redemption, of the Hatzalah, of the Mechila. Okay? This is the number 2 common denominator. I don't know if you remember. The number 1, the Goral, the lottery of the Shnei Sirei Yom Kippurim. Right? Number 2, the death penalty that we were saved from it in Purim and in Yom Kippurim. The third one, the third common denominator, is Matan Torah. In Yom Kippurim, we got the Luchot Shniyos. We got the tablets. So we got the Torah. You know, we called Shavuos Zman Matan Torateinu. But it's not true. We never got the Torah in Shavuos. In Vav B'Sivan, we didn't get any document, even before Chadai. Hashem just in Nevuah says the 10 Commandments and we heard. But we didn't get anything to our hands. Even 40 days later, we was about to get some documents, the first 10 tablets, the first 10 commandments and the first tablets, when we didn't get them. So when we get finally really something, in Yom Kippur. So that was Matan Torah. What happened in Purim relate to Matan Torah? It says in the Megillah at the end that after the miracle of Purim, it says, קיימו וקיבלו היהודים עליהם ועל זרעם לעשות את ימי הפורים האלה. קיימו וקיבלו, they accept on themselves to make this Purim every year. But the Gemara says, what's קיימו וקיבלו? It should be קיבלו וקיימו. What's קיימו וקיבלו? Says the Gemara, קיימו מה שקיבלו. Meaning, Matan Torah that was at the days of Moshe Rabbeinu was Matan Torah of Yira. Yira, out of fear. וכל העם רואים את הקולות ואת הלפידים. כפה עליהם הר כגיגית. He pushed on them the mountain. They have no choice. Because the truth was so clear, you could not deny it. Of course, you could say only Na'aseh v'nishma, nothing else. It was so clear. What's the problem? It's like when you have a lightning in the dark night. So when the lightning is, you see everything, but then it becomes so dark again, even darker. And that's what happened. Right after Matan Torah. In Matan Torah, Hashem opened the entire layers, and the truth was so clear. So when Hashem asked us, you want to get the Torah? He could not say anything, but yes. But then the darkness come again, and the Rabbi Chira. What happened in Purim? In Purim it says, קיימו וקיבלו עליהם, קיימו מה שקיבלו, but here, הם קיימו מאהבה. Rashi says, קיימו מאהבת הנס. Because they were in such a dangerous, and they knew that Hashem saved them, they say, okay, now we love Hashem, please. We're going to get it. We're going to do it because we love, from Ahava, not from Yira. So Purim is Kabbalah Satorah Me'ahava when Kippurim or Matan Torah, or the first Matan Torah was Yira. Yira and Ahava. Okay? Now let's go back to one of the common denominators in order to explain what the Ari says, that Purim is higher than Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim is just K'mo Purim, like Purim. And here we come to the thing that I started this year with, the minhag to get dressed, to put custom, to put a mask. And also siluk hadas, why we have to give up our ability to really think. In order to understand this, we have to learn a Gemara, a very deep Gemara, that says about Yom Kippurim. There are Shnei Sirei Yom Kippurim, 2 goats. The Mishnah in Maseches Yoma says in the sixth parak in Maseches Yoma says, Shnei Sirei Yom HaKippurim. Those two goats are korbanot tzibur. I mean, the entire nation bringing these two goats, right? And one of them goes to Hashem, meaning the Kohen Gadol and Yom Kippurim take the blood and enter with it in Kodesh HaKodashim once a year, right? And the other goat goes to Azazel. You know what Azazel is? Yeah. Take him to the desert and push him off the cliff, and it's going down, of course. It's dying and just מתפרק לגמרי, what is מתפרק? Get to pieces. Break into pieces. Now the Mishnah says the following. שני שעירי יום הכיפורים, מצוותם שיהיו שניהם שווים במראה ובקומה ובדמים ובלקיחתם כאחד. I'll explain, I'll translate. Those two goats of Yom Kippurim, the best way to get them, to take them before you put the lottery on them, they should be equal in their look. They should look alike. Uvekoma, in their heights, not one higher than the other. Uvedomi, meaning how much money you pay on each of them. Don't pay more on the one than the other, right? Uvelekichatam keechad, take them in the same day from the one shepherd. Okay, this is the best way to make them completely identical. They should look alike, be in the same height, pay for them the same amount, and take them in the same day from the same person. Then you bring them to Beis HaMikdash, and the avodah of the Kohen Gadol, is to make a lottery on them. Why a lottery? What's the idea of the lottery? Haman also made a lottery. Why? What is the idea of the lottery? Let's analyze this logically. When I have to decide between two options, I have to decide. I cannot run away from the decision. So I take and collect all the information that's relevant to these two things, two options, right? Then I analyze them in my best way of thinking, logically. And then I weigh and decide which way I'm going, this way or this way. And let's say the two options are completely opposite from each other. Okay, so you do the entire process, collect all the information, analyze, weigh, and it's 50-50 exactly. There's no reason whatsoever to prefer this one over the other. What do you have to do? Logically, what do you have to do? You use your logic. It doesn't work. I mean, it's beyond logic. Because logically, they are exactly the same. What do you have to do? So logically, what you have to do is, okay, I could not decide. It's too big for my logic ability. Therefore, I'm giving it to a higher level. And it seems that lottery is running away from the problem. Because I could not decide, so let's the chance decide. Is it logic? It seems anti-logic, right? I mean, it seems running away from the problem. But in the deeper level, this is the most logical thing. Why? Because there is an amazing pasuk in Sefer Mishlei. I hope I have it over here. Let's see. The pasuk says, no, I don't. The pasuk says, "Bachek yutal et hagoral, umehashem kol mishpato." Oh, yeah, I had it. Perek Tet, the 16th chapter of Mishlei, pasuk lamed gimel, 33. "Bachek yutal et hagoral, umehashem kol mishpato." What is the meaning of it? They used to do lottery. You know, they have a long dress for men also, of the old time, no pants, right? So they used to have a kiss, but it was not a kiss like this, it was like this. I mean, they took their gown and put it on their hand, and if they need to carry something, they put it over here, and they go. When they tried to make lottery, they took the, let's say, pieces of something and put it over here, write on them things, and just took without looking, just by chance, they took one, and this is the Goyrod, right? So the pasuk says in Mishle, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon in Mishle says, "Bachek yutal et hagoral, u'mehashem kol mishpato." Meaning, it seems that it's random, that it's by chance, but it's directed by Hashem. Not every lottery is like this, but we find out few. Shnei Sirei Yom Kippurim, in Yom Kippur, the Goyrol was from Hashem. When they divided the country, the land of Israel, to the tribes, they did it by Goyrol. And Haman did what he did, try to kill the Jews by Goyrol. Now, the Goyrol is not random in this very important cases. Shnei Sirei Yom Kippurim, one of them goes to the Holy of Holy, and the other one goes to the opposite direction, to the Azazel, to the Satan, to the Sitra Achra, just the opposite. To decide such a thing, no one could do it, only the Goyrol, only Hashem. And it says that every time that the Goyrol was for the one that goes to Hashem was in the right hand of the Kohen Gadol, it was a good sign that the Jewish people are in very good shape spiritually. When it was in the left side, they need to do tikkun. They need to fix their deeds. Okay? The piece of land in Israel, which tribe will get what? And the fact that Yehuda, by the Goyrol, got Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, and Binyamin also, that also mechuvan from Hashem. It was not by chance. Each one, Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel is so important spiritually. So every tribe could fulfill their mission only in their particular land. And this thing could be done only by Goyrol. When Haman decided to kill the Jews, you know what the meaning of the killing the Jews? Killing the Jews is destruction of the world. Why? Because spiritually, why the world exists? Why Hashem created the world in the first place? For the Jews to accept the Torah. If the Jews will not accept the Torah and fulfill the Torah, there will be no world. So when Haman decided to kill the Jews, to just wipe them all out from earth, it was something very big. Therefore, he himself felt that the only way to do it is not just decision, but Goyrol, and he did a Goyrol. And that's why Purim called Purim, because he built Pur Hu Hagoral. Pur is singular, and this is a lottery. In old Persian, lottery is Pur. But be aware that we're calling it Purim. And what's Purim? Yud Mem at the end of a word in Hebrew, it always make a switch from singular to plural, right? Yad, Yadayim, Ozen, Oznaim, always Yud Mem at the end, take singular, make it plural, right? So Purim, he actually wanted to do one Goyrol, but it was two. Why? Because what he thought he gonna be because of this Goyrol never happened. His Goyrol become our Goyrol over the anti-Semites. It was V'nafochu. Therefore, there are two Goyrolos in Purim, right? That's why we call Purim Purim. It's plural. Anyway, Shnei Sirei Yom Kippurim, they should be identical, completely identical, and only the Goyrol will decide which one going this way and which one going this way, right? Now here we're coming in the last 5 or 10 minutes that we have to something really deep. This is Kabbalah. This is something that in the secret, deepest level of the Torah. And in order to understand this, we have to go to Parshas Toldos, the description in the Torah about the birth of the twins, Yaakov and Esav. If you remember, if not, I will just repeat the main points. In Parshas Toldos, it says the following, that when Rivka became pregnant, after she was not able to bring children to the world for 20 years, then she finally became pregnant. It says that it was a all fight in her womb between those two fetus, and she went to understand it, and Hashem told her the following, Vayomer Hashem la, שני גויים בבטנך ושני לאומים ממאייך ייפרדו. Those two fetus are going to be two kids. They're going to be two fathers of two nations. And those two nations will be always in fight with each other. One always will strive to be above the other. Okay? One of those nations is us, the Jews. The other is the descendants of Esau. Right? Now the Torah describes the moment of the delivery. Let me read it from inside. When וימלאו ימיה ללדת והנה יתומים בבטנה. And here's the description of the delivery. ויצא הראשון אדמוני כולו כאדרת שיער ויקראו את שמו עשיו. The description is unbelievable. The first one who came out, the first baby, when he came out, he was unusually hairy. Kulo ke'aderet se'ar. He was a hairy baby from his toes to his head. Kulo ke'aderet se'ar. Something not usual at all. Vayikru et shmo Esav, and therefore they called him Esav. What's the meaning of the word Esav? In Hebrew, it's connected to the word la'asot, asiyah. He was done, asui. He was done. That's why he called Esav. Okay. ואחרי כן יצא אחיו וידו אוחזת בעקב עשיו ויקרא שמו יעקב. And Yaakov went out after him, but he was holding him in his heel, trying to pull him back in and come out first before him, but he failed. Therefore his name is Yaakov, because heel in Hebrew is akev, Yaakov. Okay. Now, the Torah and Parshas told us continue, and okay, those kids grew up. At chapter Kaf Zayin, 27, the Torah described that Yitzchak became very old. Vayiki zaken Yitzchak v'tiken ha'enav merot. He was old and he could not see. And he didn't know when his time to leave the world comes, so he called his older son, Esau, and he told him, go, hunt for me, give me food, I'm going to give you a blessing, which is the will that he wants to give. He went out. Rivka, the mother of Yaakov and Esau, came to Yaakov, told him the entire story, and told him, listen, Yitzchak wants to bless Esau. You deserve the blessing. So, Yitzchak could not see. Go, get me two goats, שני גדי עזים מן הצאן. I will make food for your father. You will go in like Esau and trick your father and get the brachot. Very interesting. Yaakov didn't refuse. The initiation was not him. She initiated, his mother. He didn't refuse. He just said to his mother, can I raise one point? I have no problem to trick my father and to get the blessing that he intended to give to Esau. But there's one problem. My father could not see, but my father could feel. And if he will feel me, he will realize, Hen Esav achi ish sa'ir, my brother is hairy guy, and I'm a smooth guy. So he will feel me, and then he will realize that I'm not Esau. Says Rivka, don't worry about it. I thought about it also. I took in account everything. Just do what I say. So he brought her the two gdeizim. She made out of their flesh, she made the food. She took the skin and she put the skin on his arms and on his chest of Yaakov. When he came to his father told him, who are you? He said, Esau. He said, what? You already went, hunted, made the food, everything? He said, yeah. When he said Esau, probably, that's my assumption, when Yitzchak asked him, who are you? And he said Esau, because Esau was a hairy guy, he probably has a very deep voice. Yaakov was not hairy, so he didn't have a deep voice. So when Yitzchak asked him, who are you? He said, Esau. And it was in a very soprano way, a very high way. So he has some suspicious. And he told him, come, let me feel you. Ha'ata hu ze bni Esav im lo, He is suspicious. Okay? So come, let me feel you. And the Torah says that he felt him and he could not recognize him. Why? כי היו ידיו שעירות כידי עשיו אחיו. The trick of Rivka works because he felt the skin of the goats and he thought it's Esau. And then he gave him the bracha. So the first person in the world that dressed up, not in Purim, was Yaakov. And by this way, he took the brachos that Yitzchak wanted to give to Esau. Okay, it seems like okay, but let me show you something really, really amazing about it. In Shnei Sirei Yom Kippurim, it says that the Kohen Gadol, after he do the avodah with the shech, the goat that his blood goes to Kodesh HaKadoshim, he come back out, and the left goat, the other goat, that gonna go to Azazel, he has to do vidui on him. He has to put his hands on his head and say that all the sins that the Jews do during the year going on the head of this goat and send him to Azazel. How it says in the Torah? It says the following: ונשא השעיר עליו את כל עוונותם אל ארץ גזרה. And this goat will carry all their sins to a desert, to Eretz Gzera. Says the Medrash, there is a pasuk about Yaakov and Esau in Parshas Toldos. When they grew up, it says, ויגדלו הנערים, ויהי עשיו איש יודע ציד איש שדה. Esau became a hunter, a man of the field, ויעקב איש תם יושב אוהלים. He was a complete guy, sitting and learning. But the pasuk says, ויעקב איש תם. Says the Medrash on Parshas Acharemos in the Seder Avodah of Yom Kippurim, ונשא השעיר עליו את כל עוונותם. Says, ונשא השעיר זה עשו. שנאמר, הן עשו אחי איש שעיר. את כל עוונותם, עוונות תם. It's two words. העוונות, the sins of the תם. Who is the תם? יעקב איש תם יושב אוהלים. So, those two goats of Yom Kippurim are actually Yaakov and Esau. And they separated by Goyrol. And one of them go to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and one of them goes out to the just opposite direction. Right? So there is a Sa'ir, which is Esau, but Yaakov dressed up as a Sa'ir. Right? In order to get the brachos, he was dressed up as a Sa'ir. So there are two Seir Yom Kippurim. One a real one like. Make believe that he is a Sa'ir. Right? And this is Yaakov and Esau. Yaakov and Esau and Shnei Seir Yom Kippurim. Now, what's the idea? Why the sins of Yaakov has to be on the head of Esau? It's Yaakov who sins, right? So why Esau going to pay the price for Yaakov's sins? And here's the secret. In the Kabbalah we learned that every nation in the world has a spiritual power. It's called the Malach, the representative in front of Hashem of the nation on earth. Every nation, there are 70 nations in the world, every nation has a Malach, an angel, that the representative of the interest of this nation. It says in the Kabbalah that the Malach of Esau, Amalek Esau, is something called the Sitra Achra. Sitra Achra, it's a notion in Kabbalah, meaning that translated to Hebrew is Tzad Acher, to English, the other side. Sitra Achra, the other side. Achra is other, Sitra is Tzad, side. The Sitra Achra, the other side, is always the alternative. What do you mean the other side? If it's the other side, what's the original side? The original side is the truth, is Hashem. The other side is the alternative. When Hashem created the world, He created the world in order to create a human being that will be a free willer. In order to be a free willer, you need two sides, right? So when Hashem created the world, He created the other side. The first side, the original side, doesn't need to be created because that's Hashem Himself. That's the truth. So what's the other side? The alternative to the truth. And this alternative to the truth is Esau. We find, and here I'll add one thing, that the Sitra Achra was actually involved in Chet Adam Rishon, the first sin. The Sitra Achra is the Nachash. The Nachash is the serpent, the Nachash HaKadmoni, the snake. It's mentioned in the Medrash, in the Kabbalah for sure, that it was Nachash ve'ochvo. It was the snake and his rider. And who's the rider? The rider is a spiritual power called Sitra Achra. Now, Hashem told Adam and Chava, don't eat from all the trees in the garden, but from this particular tree, Etz Hadat Tovara, don't eat from it. If you will eat from it, you're going to die. See again, about this thing also, if you will deny my authority and do against my will, you're going to die. And they did, and they brought on themselves and on all their descendants forever, death. So Sitra Achra was in the beginning the rider of the Nachash. Later on, he is the representative of Esau. What is Esau? Esau, in brief, I will say, there are two parts to the universe, to the creation. Hashamayim, which is the spiritual dimension, and the Aretz, the physical. Yaakov and Esau divided those two. Yaakov and Esau in the philosophy of Yaakov, the physical dimension has room in the world, but only as a mean for the goal, which is the spiritual. The philosophy of Esau is just the opposite. He is Ish Sodeh. He is connected to the earth, to the physical. The spiritual is just to serve the physical. This is the philosophy. Okay? Now, Yaakov chose to do Kiddush Hashem, to take the spirituality and take every physical thing and give it spiritual meaning. That is the philosophy of Yaakov. Every year, in Rosh Hashanah, all the children of Yaakov, in Rosh Hashanah actually everyone in the world, standing for judgment by Hashem. But about the Jewish nation, the judgment is, you as a nation got the Torah and you said Nasiv and Nishma, you obligated to do it. Did you do it? Did you do it? This is the judgment in Rosh Hashanah. In Yom Kippurim, Hashem forgive us if we did tshuva, if we agree that we didn't do right and we regret it. And the reason or the source of this is Chet HaEgel. And Yom Kippurim, that we got the second luchas and we got the complete mechila then. Therefore, every year we have Yom Kippurim in order to clean up the table. Okay? How are we doing it? By the avoid of the Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippurim, which is the main thing of it, Shnei Seir Yom Kippurim. So actually what we sang in Yom Kippurim, that's what we should have in mind. We sang to Hashem. When we said, as a nation, in Ma'amad Har Sinai, Nasiv and Nishma, we're going to do whatever you will tell us to do, we really meant it. We really meant it. So if we meant it, why we didn't do everything? Not because of us. Because of the Sitra Achra, who come over us and influence us to do. But we know that we want to do what's right. And Yom Kippurim Mechaper is cleaning up only with tshuva. What tshuva? To return back to the original state that we were when we said Nasiv and Nishma. Therefore, everything that we have on us, it's not coming from within us. It's coming from outside and influence us. And now we push it. We send it to the desert. Therefore, it's the philosophy of Esau. It's not our philosophy. And we stick to our philosophy that the physical is only to serve the spiritual. Therefore, we have Mechila in Yom Kippurim. And this is the Yom Kippurim. What happened in Purim? In Purim again, it was a Chilul Hashem that all the Goyim saw that the Jews bowed down to this statue. It seems like they deny God. They repeat Chet HaEgel again. It's a Chilul Hashem. But because it's not coming from within us, from inside, it was just make-believe, then Hashem bring us the decree to just this make-believe that you're going to die, but you're not. And this is Purim. And therefore Purim is greater than Yom Kippurim. Why? Because in Yom Kippurim, in order to show, to express that spirituality is much more, is the essence. What are we doing? We fasting, we diminishing the physical in all the tanis of Yom Kippurim, not eating, not drinking, etc., right? So it's easy to be holy when you are disconnected from physical. Purim is greater. Why? Because we have to drink, we have to eat, and we have to be in the physical, but make the physical holy. This is harder. This is harder. The last thing, we're giving up the da'at. We're drinking until we will not know what's right, what's wrong. Who's Orur and who's Baruch. We have to say, Orur Mordechai, Baruch Haman. Why? What's the idea? This is the deepest thing. I'll say it in 1 minute. The first time that a human being was pulled out from God was by the Nachash. What the Nachash says? Eat from this tree. What's the name of the tree? Eitz Hadat Tov Vara. So in Purim, we said, we do not want this dat. This dat, everyone proud for their knowledge and for their intellectual and intelligent. We have to know the way we're thinking is not the right way to think. This is Etz Hadat Tov Vara. What's Etz Hadat Tov Vara? Every good is mixed with bad. Every bad is mixed with good. No pure good. No pure bad. That happened in Etz Hadat Tov Vara. But this is the best knowledge that we have. We have to use this. And we have to know that we are not thinking straight. We are not doing, we do not know the real thing the way they are. The entire year. Only one day. In Purim. We're giving up this dat. We say, we do not want this dat. You know why? Because we want your dat. The dat elyon. So the idea to get drunk in Purim is not to be crazy. Real high-level spiritual Jews, tzaddikim, when they were drunk, they were saying the secret of the Torah, which usually during the year they have filters. They know what not to say because people maybe are not ready to get it. But in Purim, they let everything go. This is the Dat Elyon. And this is the reason why we are getting dressed in Purim. And when we're giving up the Das, and that's what we could cover in this very short shir. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And I hope this Purim will be much more meaningful after all this.
Thank you.